A better chapter. Milan was 27 and already tired of life. Every morning, his alarm rang at 6:30 a.m., and every morning, he wished it wouldn't. He worked at a private company where the work never ended, appreciation was rare, and expectations were endless. His job paid the bills, but it drained his soul. Once, Milan had dreams, big ones. He wanted to create something meaningful, something that mattered. But now, his days were limited to emails, deadlines, and forced smiles. His nights were filled with silence, heavy thoughts, and a strange emptiness he couldn't explain. He wasn't openly sad. He laughed with colleagues, replied "I'm fine" to friends, and smiled at family gatherings. But inside, something was broken. Motivation had left him quietly, without warning. Some nights, he sat alone in his small rented room, staring at the ceiling, thinking, is this it? Is this what my life will always be? One rainy evening after work, Milan missed his usual bus. With time to kill, he walked into a small, old bookstore near the road. The place smelled of paper and dust, comforting, somehow. He had never been a reader, but that day his feet stopped moving on their own. As he browsed aimlessly, one book caught his eye. It wasn't flashy. No bold promises on the cover. Just a simple title. When You Feel Lost. Milan didn't know why, but he bought it. That night, he opened the book without expectation. The first few pages were quiet, gentle, not preaching, not judging. Then he read a line that made him pause. Depression doesn't mean you're weak. It means you've been strong for too long without rest. His throat tightened. It felt like the book knew him. The chapters didn't promise instant success or happiness. Instead, they spoke about slow healing, honest effort, and learning to live with purpose instead of pressure. The author shared stories of ordinary people, workers, dreamers, failures, people just like Milan. For the first time in months, Milan felt understood. He began reading every night. The book didn't demand change, it invited it. It suggested small steps, waking up 10 minutes earlier to breathe, writing thoughts without filtering them, walking without headphones, listening to one's own mind. Milan tried. The changes were subtle at first. He started carrying a small notebook to work, writing down thoughts during lunch breaks. He stopped scrolling endlessly before sleeping and read a few pages instead. He began paying attention to what tired him and what still brought a spark of energy. One chapter spoke about identity. You are not your job, your salary, or your mistakes, it said. You are the effort you make when no one is watching. That chapter changed something inside him. Milan realized how tightly he had tied his worth to his job title. Every bad review felt like a personal failure. Every comparison drained him further. The book taught him to separate who he was from what he did. Weeks passed. Milan was still working the same job. His problems didn't magically disappear. But the weight felt a little lighter. He began setting small boundaries at work. He stopped staying late without reason. He started learning again online courses, small skills that interested him. One Saturday morning, Milan did something surprising. He went back to the bookstore. This time, he didn't feel lost. He felt curious. He bought another book, then another over the next few weeks. Reading slowly became his safe space, the place where his mind rested instead of fighting itself. His friends noticed the change. You look calmer, one said. You've changed, Another remarked. Malone smiled, not because life was perfect, but because he knew now that feeling lost was not the end. It was a message. Months later, Malone sat at his desk after work, not exhausted, not numb, but thoughtful. He picked up the same book that had started everything and reread the first page. He understood it differently now. The book didn't change his life overnight. It reminded him that life changes when you finally listen to your pain, your limits, your quiet dreams. Malone still had bad days, but he no longer feared them. He knew they were part of growth, not proof of failure. And every time depression tried to convince him that he was alone, Malone opened a book and remembered. Even in the darkest chapter, the story is not over.